Hello and welcome to Guild of Gaming's Guildhall.
Is that an essay he's brought?
He's brought an essay.
This episode is going to be very serious. We're starting it with an argument,
Okay.
but Guildhall is a
No,
place...
you're starting it with an argument.
I'm gone.
Anyway, I'm Lewis. I'm here with...
Hi.
And I'm here with...
Dan.
Hi and Dan. He said hi last time.
I know,
you know.
it's not funny. It wasn't funny the first time. It wasn't slightly funny the second time.
I'm going to ask you two to sit quietly for perhaps 600 words.
Wow,
if
that's
you
not
will.
going to happen. That is not going
If
to
you
happen.
will.
It's just not going to happen.
That font is so small. There are no spaces, and you have no margins.
If this video ends up being 30, he's got another stack of papers down here.
But what I don't get is why is the margin so thin?
It's so I could all get it all on one page. I didn't want multiple page.
Fair.
Okay. You may begin your essay.
Well, I haven't even told the people what it's about.
Okay.
This is an argument on the state of stained glass games in the board gaming industry and the board gaming hobby, really.
And how there aren't enough of them?
Know how there are too many of them, and that we should stop now. And to be honest, I come at it from a very different perspective than you may think. Okay.
Okay.
I'll let my words do the
The floor
talking
is
now.
yours.
Okay. Since the dawn of time, man has strived to create a material that is both solid and see-through, that both keeps out the weather and allows the user to look through it to see what is on the other side, that both protects the user from the elements, but also allows a user to see oncoming danger. We achieved this feat in 1500 BC. Since the dawn of glass, man has strived to create glass that is still see-through and strong, but also has a slight hint of colour. Glass that retains the solid see-through properties of its predecessors, but is also red, green, blue, pink, black, orange, yellow, and purple.
I'm so glad you got purple in there. I was going to say.
I do notice navy's missing.
We achieved this feat a long time ago. They called this new invention stained glass. Since the dawn of stained glass, man has strived to create a board game that both has a stained glass window theme and is enjoyable to play.
I would dispute that statement.
That both encompasses the ideals, the process and artistry that are integral to the stained glass window production, and at the same time gives players an unforgettable gaming experience. People, we have not achieved this feat, and I believe we will never will.
Oh my god.
Okay?
Okay.
Board games are a platform for social interaction. And is that not what our human soul strives for? A collective, deep, shared social experience that feeds our soul and helps, in these trying times, maintain one of the ever-weakening pillars of our essential humanity, human interaction.
So is your argument that we've not done it so far, so we should give up?
How do we hope to achieve this? By pumping game after game with a tacked-on stained glass theme, participants playing the game locked in their jails of glass, unable to contact each other but never truly interact. How dare you tack on such a noble and artistic profession onto your game? Is this how we expect to achieve ascension to board gaming greatness? A thematic afterthought pinned onto a math solo game? I think not. The current efforts have fallen way short of the mark in doing this noble art justice.
Are we halfway?
Yes. Have you got any comments so
No,
far?
we're not halfway.
We are.
Did I fall asleep and wake up in some bizarro world?
Sorry,
what
carry
is
on,
this?
Lewis, please
No,
continue.
yeah, please.
Is this how we honour our past? What an insult to our forefathers. Is this what they strived for and died for in the glass factories of old? Is this what my parents played hour after hour of monotonous Monopoly for? A scattershot of release games, hoping and praying that one will hit its mark and do the stained glass theme justice.
See, I feel like my main counterpoint at this point is they are both very popular games, so they are pretty successful.
How can you do it justice when the theme is but an afterthought? Don't we deserve better? The years of science and artistry that have provided the building blocks on which we now stand, our board game designers truly stand on the shoulders of giants. Shouldn't they be able to see a little further?
I mean, okay, so in the case of Azul, the
Yes.
stained glass theme totally tacked on.
Yeah.
Sagrada, it's okay, it's totally tacked on as well.
Absolutely
stained
disagree.
glass.
Wait, let's finish it.
Okay,
'cause-
yeah.
But a tower can only be built so high before it falls. The glass pane can only take so much pressure before it cracks. Perhaps we have reached the limits of our achievements. One more failed effort may make the consumer look inwards, intrinsically reevaluate their purchasing habits. Ask of themselves, do I really need another stained glass window board game? Which leads to, do I really need a stained glass board game? Which leads to, do I really need any board game? See how the tower tumbles.
Are you
What are you
saying-
going to say? Do I need glass? That's
saying-
what I was waiting for.
Are you saying that people are going to have an existential crisis if they question?
I implore our game designers to stop before they laid waste to all that our forefathers had endeavoured to create. The bloated body of the board game market cannot take another stained glass window board game injection. Its body is on the precipice of bursting. It would take the ego of Icarus to release another and risk the total obliteration of the board game market. There should never be another stained glass window board game release, and I would implore anyone
my
to change
God.
my mind.
Wow.
That's it.
So
Okay.
that happens.
I mean, if you want to edit it down to 3 minutes, you can take out.
I think this was all important.
majority
this
of
was
that.
all important.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
Okay.
I was trying. Like I knew we were doing
May I?
a guild.
You can read through it. Yeah.
You gotta read through it. I knew we were doing a guild hall on like stained glass board game themed videos. So I tried to look through Board Game Geek to find like other stained glass board games.
Yep.
There really aren't many. It's very much a dearth. There's very much a corner of the market open for stained glass enthusiasts. So the only two stained glass board games there are
Yes.
pretty highly rated, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but I'd say they're not highly rated because they are stained glass board games. They're highly rated because they've got a mechanic which certain people find interesting, and the stained glass side of it is totally disconnected from the board game itself.
You, sir, have just described every Euro game ever.
I don't agree. Like Agricola, you're building a farm, and it feels like you're building a farm because there's sheep multiply and stuff like that. It
Okay.
feels like you're building a farm in that case. If I
Okay.
use that as an example.
Yeah, I feel like stained glass, like at least these two games are very much just abstract games in disguise.
Yeah. I mean, that's if I can go on to my pros and cons of both games. I mean,
Okay.
the pros are very tongue-in-cheek. I'd say it's balanced. That's a pro. It's a balanced game, correct? Everyone starts at a level playing field. You can play anywhere because you don't need to talk to each other. You could play like in church. You could play at a library. You could play like being 100 miles away from each other and mailing in your moves. That's probably an okay way to play as well. You could probably play it in court. Like honestly, it's that much of an uninteresting and like no drama game. You could just
I
like
disagree.
you could just like literally play it across the courtroom if you like text each other's moves or something like that.
Because you're allowed phones in courtrooms. That's
It's easy to teach is another pro. With the in the case of Azul, with the caveat that it's easy to teach if they can stay awake through the whole explanation of the rules. Then it's easy to teach. If you had to keep like pinching them or like kicking them under the table to keep them awake, then yeah, that might be a bit difficult. And that's really the only pros I've got on that game. I mean, what do you guys like about the game?
So personally for me, I like them both. I think they're both good games. I prefer Azul over Sagrada personally, but they're both excellent. I do think, so to put some of your points, that apparently since the dawn of stained glass, man strive to make a board game that has both a stained glass theme and enjoyable to play.
which is why they both came out in the last year.
It's taken us this long, but we finally got it.
That's
I
what
think
annoys
they're
me
both
more than
enjoyable.
anything. that it took them this long to create such a.
So I like them. I do think this game encompasses the ideals, the process, and the artistry. To take Sagrada, for example,
Okay.
you choose a plan,
Yeah.
and the plan will give you more points depending on its complexity.
Yeah.
And you know it's going to be complex. You have your tools and materials. Your tools, your dice. The materials and the materials of the dice. The tools. Physically, there are tools in the game to manipulate said dice. Which I think does lend quite a bit of strategy because you have to decide when to use them. Because if you buy them or you use them, it makes them more expensive than everyone else.
Yeah.
But then you're spending your own resources to do so.
Does the tools relate to the mechanic at all, though?
Yes.
In what way?
in that the tools allow you to manipulate the dice.
No. What I mean is, a certain tool does something that a certain tool would do in real life, and it sort of mimics a real world situation.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Wow.
Yes.
No, it doesn't. To be honest, my whole argument was mainly coming at Azul. Like, honestly, like I think Sagrada is the better game out of the two.
Well, then Azul,
or the more interesting one to play.
I think it's brilliant. Honestly, I really like that one. That's a brilliant game. I think strategy-wise, especially two-player, there's a lot of strategy because you can predict multiple moves ahead what the other person's going to do, or try and predict.
Oh. Yeah.
And and when you move your man up and down your glassmaker. I don't know what the term is.
The glazier.
The glazier.
Yeah, because everyone knows that stained glass windows are made from like left to right. They
Exactly.
start on one
Always.
side and they start and they go over to the end. And sometimes they come back and start on a different part, but then they continue to move. Yeah.
It's an abstract game.
I feel like you could make this argument about any theme.
Yeah, and that's my point. That's what I'm getting.
Every board game boils down to mechanics,
Yes.
right? And then like, can you think of one that doesn't?
And I think there are some games.
LARPing.
That's not a board game.
The mechanics tie into the theme, and the better the better the marriage of mechanics and theme for me, the often higher it is.
Yeah.
So the one I always use as the best example, I think, and is yet to be beat in my opinion for mechanics versus theme, is Fury Dracula. Because in that game you are quite literally traveling from location to location, looking for Dracula.
Yeah.
Which is what the character is, which is why I think the game is so thematic and it gets me so invested in it, because I love the theme, which is we're hunting a vampire, and you're physically moving around Europe trying to hunt the vampire.
Mm-hmm.
So there are few games that can do that to that quality. You're not really terraforming Mars. You're buying cards that put cubes down, that put tiles down.
That's not my argument at all, though.
So
it's so disconnected. Like the fact to terraform Mars is that, like, if you were to terraform for Mars, you would need to raise the temperature of the planet, and you'd do that if you did put more. I don't know what you do in terraform Mars. You build trees and stuff like that, and that raises the oxygen level.
Okay.
And that would raise the oxygen level. It's sort of like a bit more married in that effect. I totally agree. Like, obviously, it's a math. I think it's a math solo game which has had a theme sort of like tacked onto it, and I think no one else would dispute that really. Like, in terms of it wasn't designed to be a stained glass game, and obviously it's ridiculous. That's why my whole essay is pretty ridiculous, to be honest. But because it starts off with the premise that everyone wants to make a stained glass board game, and like everyone's looking for that out there, which isn't the case, is it?
Yeah.
But
no.
it's kind of a funny phenomenon that there are even two. Like that makes I don't really like either of them.
No, so getting into the history of this, obviously Azul, like the original Azul, very popular game. Sagrada came out not long after, and then I've always felt that Azul Stained Glass Sintra kind of only exists because Sagrada exists, because it's very, very quickly tried to occupy the same kind of space.
But do you know what I mean? Like, some people play games because they enjoy the theme of it, and I think the only people who are playing Sagrada is because are the people who enjoy the puzzle in it. Really.
Yes.
Like, and I'm not that sort of person in terms of enjoying working out a game or puzzling it out.
On the flip side of that example, I study history of art at university. I love art. I love history of art. I did the St. Peter's Basilica for my thesis, and so on and so forth. I didn't go out and get these, even though I do like stained glass. I wasn't like, oh yeah, finally it's here. It was like, oh cool.
Yeah.
And when someone does say, you want to play a game about stained glass, you're like, what? What?
Yeah.
I do think Sagrada's mechanics do tie into the theme though, because you have to you are building something.
It does it better.
And you are building from, you have to continue, and you get points for making it look pretty.
Yeah, I'd say it does it better.
Azul is almost completely abstract. I do think Sagrada has some marriage. It's a marriage that's quite tenuous. But there is a marriage there.
In a higher, even with Sagrada, like in a higher than 2-player game of Azul, like at its core, it's an abstract, and for me, like abstracts have to have heavy interaction to make them interesting to me. So like chess, say, it's not. I don't really love chess, but like you've got a lot of heavy interaction between the two people who are playing it, and I don't get interested with games which have more than 2 players, which are abstract games at their core. Really,
Yes.
it doesn't interest me because it's hard. It's really really difficult to predict what's going to happen because there's 2 turns in between your next turn.
Yeah.
So how can you predict like with a good certainty what's happening? I much prefer the back and forth for the 2-player abstract game. I might love Azul with 2-player.
It's a good point because when I've played Azul with more than 2 players, you do feel to some point you can't predict what everyone's going to do. So the strategy does kind of go out the window until the end.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'll take those ones. That's with me right now. But in those 3 turns, you don't know what the board state's going to be.
So I think there's 2 more general discussions that we've got here. One being about kind of board games where you've got your own like little world and you're not really interacting much with the outside.
Yeah.
I think they do fall into those because they've got the drafting mechanic connecting the different worlds, but like most of the time you're just focusing on your own world.
Yeah.
I think the other kind of thing that we've touched on is just like that some games can be really tenuously themed. I think that is that problem exists across all themes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think.
But some do it better than others.
Some do better than others.
You know what? I've been convinced. I think the theme is tenuous.
No,
And the worlds are disconnected. I agree. There are too many stained glass board games. And I will never play them again.
So if anyone would like to buy a stained glass board game,
No, I like us all 2-player best because the back and forth I think is very interesting.
yeah,
And then you can start predicting, go, he needs that, I need that, I'm taking that, it might not be good for me now, but it's denying you, but you can't do them with players, so once you start getting beyond, once you get to 3 players more, those worlds become so disconnected. And the theme, them being so tenuous, I did not feel like I'm building stained glass. I just feel like I'm just scoring points.
You're solving a puzzle.
Yeah, you're solving a puzzle better than the other person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the main con for me is that the little tokens in Azul look like little cough sweets, so they've probably been in someone's mouth at some time. That's my main.
If it wasn't for them, I'd love the game.
When I see anything that looks like a cough sweet, I'm just like, oh, that's not a cough sweet. Oh, put it down.
That's funny.
That's my main.
Well,
cool.
what do you think?
What do you think? Sorry,
Thank you for watching this episode of Guildhall. We hope you enjoyed it. It actually took me a lot longer to read that than I thought. It is rambling, probably incomprehensible in points, and utterly wrong, probably. But thanks for listening, guys. And if you liked the episode, like and subscribe.
And let us know what you think about the games as well, because they are like generally pretty popular games.
Yeah. Or don't like and subscribe. You do you.
Yeah, you do you. Dislike and dissubscribe. Wait, no, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Any what does it say? Any.
This is the worst wrap up ever.
Okay. See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.